a late night Q&A down here as I edit some videos I'm going to be having in the future. And I'm just going to be discussing some things about my channel. I'm going to be discussing a lot of questions, um, just a whole bunch of different things that is going on. Um, and you know, I can do the live questions too. But basically, I just want to go over some things I'm doing with my channel. I've got a lot of things I'm experimenting with, including a live stream, which this is my first live stream. So do go easy on me here. But basically, just a lot of Planet Aquarium questions that I can go in through here that I have on my computer here. So let's kick it off with the first. So this question's been submitted by one of my customers, and they want to know how to plant your aquarium plants properly. And this is where the neat thing comes in that I find really cool, is that a lot of people don't know how to plant their aquarium plants. And so, what's up, Vibes? How you doing? I'm doing my first ever live stream. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm so used to going back and editing on my videos that um, doing lives is not as easy, especially for somebody like you who've been doing a lot of lives. We'll have to collaborate some. In fact, I wouldn't even mind having you on now. Um, I got some questions pulled up here, but all that stuff. Yeah. Um, but let's start off with, but going back to that question about the plants being planted in your aquarium. This was something I didn't like as a beginner. Nobody online would ever say, "Hey, how do you plant your aquarium plants?" Because I mean, let's face it, it seems like a very basic, generic question at first, but when it comes down to actually planting your aquarium plants, it's actually a thing that a lot of people look at. And so when you plant your aquarium plants, you're going to have your substrate stuff. It depends on the plant. If you're doing carpeting plants, you want to spread them out and really in different little bushels, especially if you're doing something like like carpeting plant, especially if you're doing something like microsorter or Monte Carlo. You want to put them all in different types of substrates, within the substrate in these little bunches. That way, over time, as they grow on and they spread runners all throughout your tank, it carpets evenly. Whereas when I first started, I had the pot of Monte Carlo you'll get at like your local fish store, and then it turns out and it just goes into it doesn't really carpet as fast and doesn't really do as well. Whereas if you spread it out, in fact, one of the first aquarium plants I ever got was Monte Carlo, and I had it in one of the the steel wool pots, and I never could get it to grow outside of that pot. I didn't know that you're supposed to break up the pot and put the plants in it. I was too afraid of killing the plant that I didn't even take it out of the pot to begin with, and I thought I was like, that was a big mistake that I made. That I was just too scared to touch my aquarium plants because I thought they would die on me. But if I had known some things at the time, I would have understood that I should have taken it out of a steel pot. But moving past that, it's relatively easy to plant these plants. As you just For the carpeting plants, you spread them out all over your foreground where you want them to, and for the mid ground, especially for something like Blixa japonica or Alternanthe reconi. I still can't pronounce that right, but AR, you want to bushel them up. So you want to take your group of stems here. Let me give a demonstration here on this whiteboard. You want to give a group of stems for your AR like this, and you want to have them in your. When I'm doing the typical Dutch style aquascape, which is best with the mid ground plants, and how you, in my opinion, look the best with them. You want them in like a circle. You want to keep them trimmed like a circle, where you have some of the lower growers in the front and the back, basically like a landscape bush in your aquarium. Whereas you can do that for your mid ground, and really the same goes for the background plants too. You have them planted up in like a circle where they're bunched together. That way they grow really full and really, really nice. Let me pull up the chat here. Okay, sweet. Yeah, you want them to grow in super full and dense together. And a tip for once after they get growing, and you start to get them, they start to grow to the top of the aquarium, you trim them, you replant them. Do that about 2 to 3 times before you remove the bottoms and put the tops in. My favorite aquarium plant. This changes on me all the time. Man, that's a tough one for right now. For right now, I would say a plant that I am really liking, and I can't wait to get it in aquascapes into my personal tanks, because I have it growing right now, is um, Cryptocorn Flamingo. It's a cryptocorn. It's easy to grow. It's a slow grower, but it's that bright pink, and it gives a great high tech feeling. Um, I can't wait to get it on my website, because Cryptocorn Flamingo is it's an in demand plant, and getting it on my website would be great for it. But it's really cool because it's just that bright hot pink that gives a very high tech feel. Best fertilizer. Ooh, that's something I'm messing with right now. I'm trying to develop my own fertilizer line and substrate line. Um, and so I'm testing a lot right now. I'm tested. I even went to go as test as I went to go as far as test Flourish XL, which I know is not a real liquid fertilizer that's really good. It's more like an algae side than a thing. Um, Otherwise, I'm testing with Thrive. I'm testing with EI dosing. I'm testing with a plethora of options. Not even dosing at all. I'm doing some of that in my tanks, and so that's a big thing. So it just goes down um, as a it just it's a big thing right now that I haven't covered yet, but I can't wait to cover it. Planted tank on Fontosas. I think Fontosas are cichlids, right? I knew what they were at one point, but I think I've forgotten. I've been a little on the plant side lately. Um, I don't know what they're like with plants, but if they do well with plants, then you've got a great system going. I'd imagine they're like jewel cichlids in the way that they're bright red, and that would be they're bright red. That's or if they're really colorful and go with the plants, they would look really great with some easy growers like some Hygrophila polysperma rostervang or some maybe some Combomba types. Let me see if I can get some rare ones in there. Maybe some Rutalas. Stuff that's gonna be hardy. That's gonna be able to take a lot of the movement and thrashing of the cichlids. Going through the water, because you don't want anything finicky with them. Otherwise, you're just gonna have some like bad luck. Like if you have something finicky like maybe some Limnophilia species on that are a little harder to grow, it's gonna wreck them up, and it's gonna be really frustrating. Um, but let's get on to the next question. The next question is let me look at this next question that I have here. Flow in the aquarium. Okay, flow. Flow is a thing that flow is a thing that scared me at first. Because when you just set up a new planet aquarium and you have all your little stems planted in everywhere, uh, you're like you're a little bit worried. You're like, okay, I don't want to mess up my entire scape by adding flow. And if you do a dirted cap system, flow can be scary too. Like if you have a wave head, oh my gosh, I've got so many horror stories with wave head and flows and just disaster and uprooting the entire tank with dirt where the cap has broken so many times because the flow of the wave head goes down and messes things up, and it looks like a giant like a tornado hit my tank. Anyway, no, what I'm saying is that you with the flow in the aquarium, you want to have enough flow to where it's not just stagnant water with algae, because sometimes that attracts algae with highlight and a lot of nutrients, and really just stagnant waters. The nutrients doesn't get moved around, algae gets to going, and um, it just kind of it all kind of just goes down. So what you want to do with flow is you want to have a nice easy flow, and it's kind of after a while you get a feel for it. You don't want so much flow that your pants are bending backwards, like way back down low to the ground, and your fish are struggling. But you want to have enough flow to where maybe the tips of your plants are flowing, moving. You don't see any dust, algae, or dust on your plants, so to say, unless if it's deep within your plants. That's when you know you should maybe take down the flow, or sorry. Well, no, if there's no dust on those plants, and if there's a little bit of dust deep in the plants, that's when you know you've hit the sweet spot. That when you know that you have no dust on your plants, that's the sweet spot. And so mixing your flow with your lighting and your substrate, for me, it makes the tank pair really well. It goes with the essentials, the dirt, the substrate, and the lighting. Because I mean, literally, what we're trying to do is replicate nature in your tank. It's a good fertilizer for hornworts. Oh, and the app I'm streaming for streaming for live YouTube Live. I'm using YouTube. I haven't again, this is my first stream, so I haven't really gotten too much experience with it. The best fertilizer you use with hornwort. Hornwort is weird. It's a finicky plant. It's like it's so unique. In my opinion, it's odd. One day you'll have it exploding with growth in your tank. The other day you'll turn around, it's gone white and died on you. Fertilizer wise, throw it in your tank when you've just set up a planted aquarium with the dirt substrate. All the nutrients will leak around, and you'll have so much nutrients. You'll be struggling with algae, and so the hornwort will soak it all up. As for otherwise, fertilizer Thrive would be well. The 2-Hour Aquarist has a good line. I'm sure Aquarium Co-op's Easy Green is good. I'm going to be coming out with one. Maybe the EI dosing method would be a great one too. StreamYard, interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. This is my first stream, so I'm going to see. I like the fact that you can use this as a video afterwards, and it goes as a video, and it doesn't just end with the stream, and that people, if they miss the stream, they can watch the video, because it's great for watch hours for my channel. But I'll definitely look into that, especially when I get a camera too. I can't wait to get a camera. I do all my filming on my phone, which is great. It's great. The phone's great and all, but getting a camera would be really cool. What else? Let's talk about shrimp-friendly plants, because I have this beautiful shrimp poster back here that I love. I got it at Aquacella Dallas, which is another thing I could talk about too. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Shrimp, plants that go well with shrimp, and a thing that I've experienced when I grow my mosses. I'm trying to think, do I have any on my website? Yes, I have Java moss on my website, and I have another moss that's growing in my 75 gallons that I've got that I collected out actually in one of my first videos, that I've gotten enough to where I can grow it and I can sell it online. I should put that on my website pretty soon here. But the thing I figured out with mosses, and the things that really work well with them, is that these shrimp love mosses, and the shrimp will keep your moss clean, like really, really clean. And so in my experience, the clean mosses, and I actually had some fried shrimp pretty recently. It was actually pretty good. But with mosses, with the shrimp keeping it clean, I found that it's just way easier to keep mosses with shrimp. So with my experience, or some kind of animal to keep the moss clean, is going to overall keep your moss health going up. So snails, so shrimp, some smaller nano fish that'll keep your moss clean. It's going to all do better benefit the snail, benefit the shrimp, benefit the fish, benefit the moss, as the light will come down on it really well. And I've also had good luck growing my mosses in the ponds that I grow with my planter tubs, and with mosses inside or in between the tubs, in the dark crevices where it's really dark, where it's pretty dark, and they're under about 2.5 foot of water. But there's that underground flow that's coming in because of the filter, and so it's getting all that underground flow. But the moss is staying super clean, and it's getting sunlight, or it's getting like 60% shade, but some sunlight, and has plenty of nutrients in the water column, because the dirt in the pods are leaving nutrients in the water column for the mosses to get. What else? Let's talk about some fish that affect your plants and that are actually good for your plants. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've seen my top 5 video on how to keep algae out of your aquarium. And if you haven't watched that, I would go watch that now, because it is extremely cool. It's just going to talk about how you can defeat algae in your aquarium. And so I also talked about the bioload of the fish and having effect on the plants, even if they're called algae eaters, like plecos, like the common pleco. Whew, man, they make a lot of bioload. And so this bioload is going to make more algae, which in return defeats the entire point of having those plecos, because you're just doing a negative effect. Unless if you really like plecos, and that's fine, keep some cool plecos, but know that they don't have a good effect in that manner. So keep some autosynclus and some snails. Those are the fish and the plants, or those are the fish and the algae eaters that I've had best experience with. Oh, let me throw in some other ones: mono shrimp and Florida flagfish if you have blackbeard algae. But I'm gonna make a blackbeard combat algae video probably pretty soon here, because it's really a simple fix. but you just have to learn this obscure tip that I'm going to show you in that video. So stay tuned for it. But if you want to go the opposite route and you want to add a whole bunch of algae into your aquarium, leave your lights on for unstable periods of time. Because if you want your algae to grow, leave your light on for one day 6 hours, leave it on for 12 hours the next day, leave it on for 4 hours the next, and leave it on for 20 more the next day. Really be unstable with your light, and totally don't invest into a $3 timer that you can get at Walmart that plugs into your wall. Don't do that because you want algae. And then really dose really heavy on your liquid fertilizer for a week, and then stop completely. And then do it again, and then stop completely. Then, if you have CO2, run your CO2 at full blast for one day, and then stop the other day. It's gonna be so wonky, it's gonna be so unstable that your algae is gonna love it. Then once you do that, get some of the worst aquarium plants out there. You can go find some aquarium plants from the worst rated reviews on eBay, open them up, get them out. You're gonna see them covered in half dead snails and Lord knows what other mystery algae is in there, especially if they're imported, because you want those algae that's really hard to get, hard to find out there because they've been like banned all across the world. And then take that and throw that into your prized possession tank with all that where you want to grow your algae out, and you're gonna get some great algae growth. And just completely then if you really want algae, if you really want algae, really put all your time and effort into that tank, but don't change anything and don't do any of the things I recommend in my previous videos. But put all your intent and energy into that aquarium, because once you put all that energy into your aquarium, you're going to grow up some algae, because now you're really caring about your aquarium, so it's going to mess up your entire aquarium. Whereas if you sit back and just kind of kick back and let your plants do all the work, you don't have any algae. So you want to play hands-on in your tank, constantly moving things around. That's where you want the best algae. And add like an insane amount of fish to plant ratio, like triple it, like 5 fish to 1 plant. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of algae there. But a lot of algae, I've been talking about algae nonstop for a while. Algae's been a main topic on my channel for a little bit. I've got a plant that I want to talk about here it was hard for me to make a video on, that I wanted to make a video on, that I thought for some reason it isn't big in the aquarium hobby. And maybe one day I hope to make it a lot bigger in the aquarium hobby, is Persicaria. I don't understand why it's not a big thing. It's native across, I think, all 7 continents. I mean, obviously not Antarctica, but I think it's on every continent. It's known as knotweed, or it's like a common like weed in your lawn, but there's like over like 130 to like 1,000 species of this, and they're all across the U.S. And a lot of them are can be grown underwater. They can be dark red to yellow to black, black, and then yellow with black spots, red with black spots, purple with black spots. They come in like plethora of colors, and I've collected a strain in South Florida near Miami. I've collected a strain in East Texas. I've collected a strain in South Texas. I've collected some in Arkansas. I've collected some all over the U.S., and they grow everywhere. They've got some in South America, but the most common type is Sao Paulo, or after the research I've done, is Persicaria Sao Paulo, which is a dark-lived. Let me see if I can grab an image for you guys. It's a dark red. It's like, I'm sure if you've been in the plant aquarium hobby for a long time, you've seen Persicaria Sao Paulo, or you haven't, and I'm going to show you now. But it kind of looks like Garofalo chai. Well, I even say that right now. It doesn't really. Here, I'm going to show you guys right here. I don't know if it's a good follow the tank around, but if you need to, Google it. But it's Sao Paulo. It's really dark red, and that's just one of the many Persicaria types. But it's like so unknown to this hobby, and I find that really cool about it. But the thing is that it's really easy to grow. Like, it's ridiculously easy to grow, and I'm just surprised it's not gotten bigger in the hobby, because it's just so easy to grow. I find it easier to grow than Ludwigias. I find it easier to grow than Ritalas. I find it easier to grow than what else? a lot of foreground plants. It's the only thing to it that maybe takes it away in terms of the market wise is that it is a little bit of a slow grower, but it's hardy. I mean, it'll grow in like super low lit dim tanks. In fact, I had a tank for the longest time um, that would run what was it? It was like super duper low lighting, and it was out in my garage one day, and I was just like, this is an empty tank. Let's fill it up and let's put some plants in it. And so I put some the Persicaria yellow bush that I have, and I put some in there, and it grew. And not only did it grow, it got dark red. So I was like, well, there you go. And then recently, uh, that's another topic I need to discuss in this live too. In fact, I might even make a different live for it as well because I plan on going live next weekend. But basically, my greenhouse blew over, and I didn't make a video out of it, and I regret doing that now because I would have loved to have made a video about it. But my greenhouse blew over, and I lost a whole bunch of plants. And one of the plant things that were in it was an entire tub, like a 3 by 2 foot tub of immerse grown Persicaria yellow bush, and it was crazy. As in, it went through a freeze recently where it killed off 90%, the freeze, it got down to like -2, and it was just out there. Like it was literally just out there, uncovered by anything. And it got down to like -2. It killed off like 90% of the plants. However, it killed off 90% of the plants, but it left some Persicaria yellow bush there. And the Persicaria yellow bush survived, and it was great. Yes, I do carry Persicaria yellow bush on my website. I'm out of stock at the moment, but it ought to grow back pretty soon here. Like I said, it's a slow grower, so it takes some time, but it's super hardy, easy, and dark red. And I really don't understand why it's not bigger in the hobby. Because yellow bush, oh, sorry, because yellow bush is not the only strain of it in the hobby. Or yeah, in the hobby. There's Sao Paulo, like I mentioned earlier, but there's like a whole bunch of types. Well, here, let me pull some up right now with some names that are a little bit less common. The aquarium, but like I said, it's a super easy aquarium plant, but it's just like Persicaria hydropyperoides. Like I can assure you, like almost nobody's heard of it. But yet again, it's so easy to grow, and I don't understand that. I don't understand that in terms of it because, I mean, it'd be just such a great aquarium plant for beginners to get a hold of. That I know I would have loved to have grabbed a hold of if I was in the hobby or hobbyist, or when I first started the aquarium hobby. But enough with the Persicaria talk. That's a separate video for its own, and I can make that, on its own. It's just a little hard to. I had an initial plan for it, but it kind of got scrapped in. I'll have to make another one. So for the next question, let's see. Let's talk about hardscape in the aquarium. A lot of times, hardscape can affect your aquarium aquascapes. So with that, hardscapes, I carry an assortment of hardscapes on my website. If you want to check it out, it's at alloversaquatics.com. But let me do so. I will do so, bro. I will got you. How about this weekend if you're free? I'll have a time slot where I'm free and we can do a live collab. I'd be happy to do that. But back to hardscape. Hardscape's a make or break of a tank. I think a lot of people now plants too. Let me rephrase that. Plants can also be a make or break of the tank. If you don't have the right plants assortment, it'll be a thing. But you want to have, when your aquarium is set up, you want to have a great hardscape layout, which is the your concrete stable of your aquarium, your substrate, and your hardscape. Hardscape. By the way, hardscape is driftwood, rocks, and any of the hard decorations in your aquarium that make up the backbone of your tank for showcasing and display. So, in my experience, and with a lot of these professional aquascapers you'll see on YouTube, you'll notice how they have a ridiculous amount of hardscape into their aquarium, usually, unless if they're running a more plant-heavy aquascape. So with this hardscape, it's it's very important how you lay it out and design it. Be happy and take some time. Take about an hour to 2 or 3 days um, on these uh, aquascapes when you're setting them up, because if you go in, you rush it and you plan all your aquariums in. And I've done this. By the way, I've done this like a million times, where you rush it and you're like, I just want to get the plants in, I want to get it growing. Uh, but I've noticed that if you take more time and look at your aquascape and like think about it and really strategically place your hardscape, maybe use some glue, maybe use some different angles or some inspiration. Uh, you'll have a lot better looking of an aquarium with that hardscape used with a lot more and strategically placed than what you would if you rush it and you just put your plants in and let them grow. Uh, I mean, let me rephrase. That still won't be bad, but you'll just have more. Um, you'll have more of a how do I say, character to your tank. It'll add more character, and which is another thing that leads me up on a lot of these aquascapes I'm looking at um, here, is that a lot of beginner aquarists, and myself included when I was beginning, we like to have a flat tank, like our substrate just flat on the ground. That's not really what we don't want that, because, well, again, and this is also all my opinions, but you don't really necessarily, if you want to have the best character to your aquarium, you don't really want a flat substrate. You'll just have more character if you add some slants with your substrate, a rounded or a high background. And so you want to have a very you want to have some landscape depth to it. You want to have some hills in the back, or you want to have a slope coming down to the tank. It just gives you more. It gives your aquarium more of a back brace, so to say, than if you just had a flat tank where it's kind of hard to rearrange your plants, like I mentioned earlier with the uh, Ultradanthria and other things like that. Now, let's see. What else could we talk about? Um, what other questions could we do? Let's talk about when we pair our plants together, when we're setting up a plant in a tank, and we want to pair our plants together with different color contrasts, or good aquascaping stones for a beginner. That's a unique question. If you want to aquascape stuff for a beginner, then I would say have some hardscape that doesn't affect your pH levels, or maybe affects it, but you're prepared for that pH level. Uh, so get some, maybe some, if you have really hard water, get some stones that are going to keep your water hard, or nothing to counteract your pH. That way, you're kind of used to it as a beginner, and you don't have to stress about that. Yet you get to have some good hardscape in your aquarium. If you have very acidic water, maybe put some uh, uh, limestone in there. If you have, basically, what I'm saying is like, don't put hardscape that's going to mess up your water so much more than what your water is used to and what you're keeping it with. So if you have a limestone, if you have a very hard tank, add some acidic, add some driftwoods and stuff. It's going to leach tannins. If you, vice versa, if you have a very acidic tank, add some limestone that's going to chalk down your aquarium to make it more balanced. That way you're not adding acidic on acidic or hard on hard. What else? Let's see. Well, let's talk about some aquascaping. Let's talk about temperatures in the tank. I think that's a thing we should discover on our aquariums, about the temperatures and how temperatures affect aquarium plants. So when I've kept my aquarium plants in my ponds, temperature made a great deal of a difference, especially with the seasons coming around. I mean, summer the ponds be hotter than what the winter would be, but the summer would be aquascape a pond. No. I got to show you my pond, and I got to show you my new plants, my new plans for my pond. If you go back and watch my video on that one of the ones I first did, it was me tearing down my pond. So before I had the YouTube channel, I still do, but I still have this, before I had the YouTube channel, I still have this business that I sell aquarium plants from. And when I lived in South Texas, I had this pond. I had this 8 by 8 square foot pond. It was about 2.5 feet deep, and it had about uh, maybe 45 buckets in it, like half buckets that would. I don't have any buckets on me of the buckets right now, but I would have them with dirt and sand. Well, a special mix of dirt, but dirt and sand. And so I would plant all these plants in there. And I mean, these buckets were like that big around. Like there were so many. Um, there were so many plants in each bucket growing. And so when I talk about my ponds, previously that was my pond. And so, temperatures would affect it greatly. And so I found that the ideal aquarium plant temperature is like 73 to 74 degrees. Any warmer than that, you might struggle with some algae growth. And that varies on plant. If you have some North American cold water plants, then you're obviously going to want to run it a little colder. It's going to vary, but for the sweet spot I found for all plants, if you're running a tank with a lot of different types, 74 degrees is where it's usually at. Now, I've heard of some plants going to really, really hot waters, like Blix and Japonica. I've heard that people run it with 86-degree water with their discus. I haven't tried that. Go for it. And there's tanks that run at 50 degrees, stuff like that. No, I am not on that vibe. You'll have to send me a message about that. I don't really know what that is, and so I can get on there. I don't mind. Tips to make your water brown, like if you're doing a dark style tannin tank, then definitely add some driftwood, some leaves, some. I've heard of people using organic tea to darken their water. I would run some biotope tanks, and you put some. One thing that really, really stained one of my tanks. That I was able to wash it out and all, but was I put one single black walnut shell in the tank, and I came back from vacation. It was ink black. Luckily, there was no fish in there or anything like that matter, but it was like jet dark black water. So, if you want to make a really dark out aquarium, if you have some blind cave fish, do that or something. It'd be really cool. But it was, it's way too dark, so I couldn't have kept it that way. But add some leaves, add some driftwood, and your tank will be a lot darker in that manner. Um, yeah. Hey, look, this aquarium hobby has some people like boiling and cooking things that I never would have thought you need to be cooked or boiled. One time, in fact, I experiment all the time with baking eggshells. I would bake eggshells for this calcium mix that I make, and that's a thing I should talk about. That's a thing I should make on the YouTube video. Okay, I would flat out just bake eggshells and I would crunch them up. And let me tell you something. Baking eggs, okay, I mean, if you're making like a quiche or something like that, that smells normal. Baking eggshells, it smells so weird. Like it smells really odd. And so then I would crush them all up and make them a fine powder that I would sprinkle in my tanks. It's so strange. Oh, what's up, Daniel? Yeah, I am not down to South Texas, sadly. I'm moving over to East Texas in Longview. Just got a little while to go on it. I got a few months. I got about 2 or 3 months. That's when I'm going to set up my pond. I'm going to set up my pond then and get the pond going again and make a new video on that. Yeah, I am moving back. I'm happy. There's a lot of great hobbyists here in Arkansas, but ultimately I miss home in Texas. So, Whataburger too. That's a big thing. Buc-ee's too, and HEB's. I miss those quite a bit. But otherwise, completely forgot what I was talking about. With the ponds, no, I totally forgot. So, what else? Let's talk about a new subject. Okay. But we got the Texas family here in this chat. Let's talk. Let's go. That's the best state. You can't get me wrong on that. What else? It is cool, dude. Oh, you're from Waco. That's neat. That's cool. Okay, so let's see. what are some more ones? Let's talk about another rare plant that I'm gonna go down and see. And well, I'm going back to Austin this next weekend. Let's go talk about what some of the plants. One of the plants I found there that's kind of neat is definitely Podemon Jeton Schrenferi. And I'm gonna go into a little bit about that. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, yeah, you got the channel here. Got it working. I got a lot of time here in Arkansas, so make some more channel stuff, and I'll make a entire beginner playlist on what you can do to start up your planted aquarium if you know nothing about aquariums at all. And so I ought to be able to get that playlist out pretty soon with a whole bunch of different videos that are beginner oriented that literally cannot be more beginner oriented because it's probably a little confusing without knowing much. But back to with the Podemon Jeton Schrenferi. That is a handful of a name to pronounce, and it's harder even to spell it. But it is a plant that I found in central Texas. It runs through clear streams. It loves that limestone water, so it's great for if you have a hard tank. I haven't had some in a while, and I need to get some back growing in my tanks that way I can sell it. It is. Thank you. It is a cold water plant that I recommend for a lot of salamander keepers. Or not salamander keepers. Well, I guess salamanders too, but axolotl keepers. I really recommend it because it's great for it's great for the cold water tanks when there's not a lot of plant choices. It's got this wavy leaf, wavy kelpy texture to it. If you want to check it out, you can check it out on my website to see the pictures of it. It's a dark green plant. It's got like this. It literally looks like kelp. Like it's a freshwater variant. It looks like a freshwater variant of kelp. It's a pondweed. It's in that Podemon Jeton family, which is a North American native aquatic plant in the aquatic plant family. So, sorry, I'm drinking sparkling water. But it's in that North American pond plant family. It's found here in the U.S. in certain places like Central Austin, but it's only in little blips of it. It's really, really uncommon. And so it's found in that Central Texas area. It's also found in Central Italy, and it's been reported to be found in South Africa and all of that. The light that Persicaria needs. Again, Persicaria is super easy. If you want a dark red on the Persicaria yellow bush, you're going to have to bump it up to some medium to high lighting, along with a lot of iron in your tank that I've noticed. But the moderate to high levels, in terms of just growing it in general, it can go really low. It can almost go no light. Well, no, it's got to have some light, but really, really low light if you want to just get to grow. But if you want the red colors, you got have a little bit of iron to it and and a lot of some highlight if you want some red. And that really goes for a lot of plants. If you want some good aquarium plants to give some color and some overall great growth, just get your staples down. Invest most of your money into the light. Invest most of your money into the substrate, which if you go the planted aquarium dirty route, the cheapest route is going to be that soil. And that soil, if you get great quality soil, you're going to have some great growth. And so you're already putting in something that's really that's not going to break too much to the bank. Whereas if you have a lot into the light, you can put a lot more into the light, which is really important. Whereas the substrate is going to be cheaper, but it's still going to be really, really great. And those are the two staples. We're literally trying to recreate a slice of nature in our house. So we want to replicate the sun, and we want to replicate the earth. So the earth is really cheap. You can go buy a bag of organic potting soil and wet it down and get it all going with that cap layer. That's pretty cheap. And the light's going to cost you quite a bit if you want to have a really good light that's going to bring a lot of color out. But that's about it. Light soil tank. I mean, get your filter and get your heaters in. Those are the essentials. But I've had times where I don't even fertilize a planted aquarium at all. Like liquid ferts, no. I do dirt. I can do dirt for a long time. Now, I mean, it varies on the cap level. I mean, the layer of the thickness of the dirt. I mean, I had back in one of my earlier videos, you can see the aquascape behind me. I had a really thin layer of dirt that didn't last long. It lasted about 7 months before I needed to tear it down. And that's because I didn't liquid fertilize. If I liquid fertilize, it could go a lot longer. But that's because I didn't liquid fertilize. But thick layer of dirt, thick layer of sand or gravel, and a great lighting, you're gonna have a blast, and it's gonna grow really well. It's gonna keep it cheap. It's gonna be inexpensive, and you're gonna grow a lot with the thing. What's up, local Austin? That's cool, man. Thank you. You came from Vibes. Thank you, Vibes. I can't wait to do a live stream with you, man. I've been watching your live streams for a little bit now. Why, hello there, Strawberry Goldfish. Why, hello. Y'all shoot me some plant-related questions if y'all need to. Otherwise, I got a list right here. Let's tackle this. What are my favorite plants for if you want to breed guppies or shrimp? Because I've looked into breeding guppies and shrimp, and okay, so if you've been keeping guppies kind of breed almost anywhere. So if you want to keep them in the fry, the best fry, you can go with the guppy grass, but I want to switch things up a little bit. Add yourself some cool floater plants. Add some water lettuce with the giant roots. I've been keeping them outdoors, and the guppies love it that way. You can throw some mosses in there. You can throw some Riccia fluitans. You can throw some Java moss. I like Ritalas because they give that tall stem, kind of like a little high tech when they're not. And you see the fry swimming through there. It's really neat. It's really cool. Oh, and that brings to another question, or that brings up to another plant that I really like to suggest. Pogo Steeman Stellus octopus. It's a mouthful of a name. Dude, it's so easy to grow, and it is so underrated in this hobby. Again, it's really cool. It's got a purple undertone to the leaves. That is really cool. Again, that's one of those easy plants that I found later in the hobby. Tiny Aquatics. Oh yeah, hey, dude. Yeah, that's where we met. No, yeah, I love that fish store. That fish store is awesome. Literally awesome. I've been searching for that area, for a fish store in that area for a long time, and that place came up, and I had to go check it out, dude. Flat out awesome. No, yeah, Pogo Octo. It's definitely go-to plant. I went down to a local fish store I say local. I went down to a fish store in Miami where they had these. It's called the Tropical Fish Farm. They had these. They look like water troughs. They're like the stock tanks. Have you ever seen the cement stock tanks of what the cattle drink out of, like on the ranches and stuff? Basically, it looks like a concrete bathtub, but they would have like, I think they had like something like 60. They were all lined up. They were all outside. This entire fish store was like outside, by the way. It's really cool. And so they would have them like breeder-esque style. They would have all these fish, cichlids to rare guppies to shrimps to plants, and it was so cool. And so they would have these tanks outside too, and they would have tanks filled to the brim with this pogo octopus. Like they were like literally bleeding pogo octopus, and that was one of the first times I had seen it outside of the time I bought it online, or I bought it at a fish store, I think. And I can't really remember, but I bought it, and I was like, why haven't I seen this plant around? And I went down there and I saw boatloads of it, and I realized, yeah, it's a great plant. And so it was awesome. So that's a plant that's really cool. That's kind of undiscovered and yet really easy. It's a shame that a lot of times when you look up easy to grow aquarium plants, that a lot of these plants come up and they're just the same things like Amazon swords or Kambomba. It almost makes me like repelled at that point. Like it's crazy. A small warmouth. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do a 20-gallon. No, I would not do a 20-gallon. 20 gallons too small. So if anybody doesn't know what a warmouth is a native type of fish to North America. It's like it's in the species of sunfish. It's kind of like a bluegill or a pumpkin seed, and it's like what is it? It's like it's a semi-aggressive fish. Kind of looks like a bass, but it's in that sunfish family, and so they get kind of big. So I would say at the minimum, maybe a 55. I think a 55 at the minimum. Give them something to grow into. In terms of plants, I don't know. Maybe some guppy grass. Maybe some pogo. Pogo Steeman erectus octopus. Yeah. pogo. Um, add some pogo. Oh, in the Miami Tropical Fish Farm, they had pogo steam on just like they had it in like literally every tank. Like I said, even with tanks that the cichlids usually should tear up those plants, dude, they could not tear up this pogo steam on octopus. This stuff was all over the place. So, um, of the warmouth and stuff like that, that was pretty cool. As for the next, let's talk. I've got this plant over here that's related to that's half cross between an algae and an aquarium plant, and I can't specifically find the name for it, but it's in this 10 gallon over here, and I can't remember. I have it on my eBay actually. I can get it on my website too. It's a really it's a half algae, so it's going to grow really fast and grow really really well. And it's in one of my snail breeding tanks over here. It's it looks like hornwort. I thought it was spined hornwort, which is a variation that's pretty rare. But again, it's super easy, dude. It's like so easy. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense actually. I was trying to figure that out on the live stream, who the co-host was, but okay, that's cool. Sweet. Well, nice. Um, okay, cool. But yeah, this spined hornwort, I'll get some pictures up. It's it's like a half algae size. It's not spine hornwort, but it's like a half algae, half aquarium plant. That's again incredibly easy to grow. The only con to it, the only problem, is that if you trim it up, and when I collected it in the wild, I thought it was just the dirt and the stuff underneath. When I collected it out in the wild, it had this foul sargassum seaweed kind of smell, and I thought, oh, that's just that's just the dirt smelling like that. No, dude, this plant smells. It's really weird. It's really strange how this plant smells. I don't really understand it, but it smells. So when you trim it up and smell it, it smells. It's kind of a little smelly. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, if you're here, if you're this far, you've been in this far, leave a like. That's gonna help out this channel. That's gonna just show that I'm making some good content. If not, leave me a comment down below and see what I can improve on. But that's just another aquarium plant that I think is rare. That's also really cool. That I should get to the hobby more. That's what I find cool about the hobby is that I can take these plants now, and especially as I'm building up a following on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, that these I'm building up this community, and I get to show this community all these cool little plants that I find that are on the rare side that don't really get talked about that often. So I find that so cool because if I could push something like Persicaria up there, and more people that are starting out the aquarium hobby, instead of buying Rotala Blood Red in hopes to keep it red or something like that, but they get their hands on some Persicaria Yellow Bush that grows red pretty easily, you're gonna want to stay in the hobby. If you're having great results, you're gonna want to stay in the hobby. Whereas if you want to get some rare plants at high tech that are mislabeled and all that stuff, it just makes you want to quit. Which is another video that I might think about doing. Is aquarium plants that are not as easy as what people say they are, because I've had some, or at least in my opinion, because I've had some plants that just my hornwort's growing really slowly. Do you think I should add CO2? No, I don't think you should. I don't know what your tank parameters are, whether it's a low light, high light, or high substrate, high nutrients. CO2 is going to speed up everything you have, whether it's good or bad. I made that mistake without knowing that. So you want to make sure you have everything settled in first. Add CO2 at the end. So what is your substrate going to be dirted? Is it going to be sand? I don't know. But if you have a great substrate, you got to check that off your list. If you got a great light, check that off your list. You got a great filter or filtration, check that off your list. And if you've gotten to the point where that's the case, and then you start liquid dosing, and that's the case, you're on a regimen and you got it all steamed out and planned out, then you add your CO2. But I can promise you for hornwort, that's not going to be necessary. You're not going to need CO2 to grow hornwort. Hornwort's an easy plant. Sometimes it could die on you and spread little needles everywhere in your aquarium, and it's kind of annoying. But hornwort will work in that sense. You don't need CO2 for it now. The only plants I really would say that require CO2, they're kind of on the harder type, like Pogostemon erectus. No, Pogostemon No. Potamongeton Hellfry? It might be Pogo Steamin', but I think it's Potamongeton. No, it's Pogo Steamin' Hellfry. Yeah. Sorry, I get those two switched up every now and then. But stuff like that would be um oh my gosh, thank you so much, bro. Um uh uh yeah, check that off your list too if you need we need some advice, check that off your list. Um uh Man, what else, man? We've covered a lot. I've covered a lot in this stream that I'm glad I've gotten to cover because it was kind of too hard to put in a video. Well, I just have so many ideas for videos, yet I don't at the same time. It's just it's chaos being a YouTuber. It's fun. I love it, but it could be pretty hectic too because you got to make a video. What else is there? Just keeping plants alive. Java Friend doesn't like my tank. Anubius Tiger Val. LED shop lights. Okay. Java Fern is another one. I've kept Java Fern. I kept it for about 2 to 3 years before ultimately, personally, in my opinion, I don't like the way Java Fern really looks, but some people do. So I'm going to talk about that. Java Fern is an epiphyte. So as an epiphyte, it's going to want to take a lot of nutrients out of the water column. So you want to make sure you have your water column nutrients balanced out. So if you have that nutrient-rich substrate leaching in and it's worn off over time, your Java Fern is probably going to take a toll. But if you're keeping it dosing levels just fine, and with an LED shop light, man, I feel like Java Fern would do really good. But a lot of times, what can also happen? A lot of times, Java Fern, or at least in my opinion, has shock. Like I'll rearrange and I'll re-aquascape an aquarium plant, and I'll notice that my Java Fern leaves turn brown or they'll turn black and they'll fall off and they'll do for baby seedlets. What should I do for the scaping? Maybe I didn't see that message. I might not have read the entire. I might not be able to see the entire message. If there's a way I can pull up chat on here, I think okay. Let's see. What should you do for the aquascaping? If you've got all those plants that you mentioned right there with the Java moss, Vallisneria, gubby grass, and all that stuff, you have a lot of opportunities. Like I said this way earlier in my stream about hardscape and that it makes up the backbone of the aquarium. That if you have a lot of hardscape, and a lot of hardscape and a lot of like rolling hills to it, and the layout of your tank is not just flat and it has a lot of depth and character, it's going to make your plant stand out with depth and character. So elevate your stuff, elevate your substrate, maybe put some bags of lava rock, and then put some soil, and then put some sand, then put your hardscape. But definitely go the soil route. If you're going to be doing plants, do the soil route. I've got a lot of videos about that, and if you want to send me a message personally, I could be happy to answer any questions on that. But now that you have your aquarium plants, aquarium substrate and hardscape all laid out, and it's really, really fine. I found out that the more hardscape, the better looking the aquarium at the end of the day is. That's what I found out. So you want to add as much as hardscape as you want. Then stock every plant you can possibly get in there. All your Vallisnerias, all your gubby grass, all of your plants, and I would step them out depending on what size your tank is. Here, I'm gonna draw a little demonstration for you. Depending on what size your tank is, I would do. So we have our square here, kind of. You've got your how am I gonna draw this on here? You've got your elevation, kind of, and you got your hardscape, and your hardscapes and all that stuff, all that, your driftwood, your all that stuff. Plant your plants in kind of bushes, kind of like this. Your Vallisnerias maybe on the side, your taller background plants, Vallisneria, gubby grass on the back sides. Keep them separated. I kind of find out that if you sort your aquarium plants, it looks a lot cleaner, it looks a lot more professional. Trim the tops, re-put them back in there. And after a while, if you want to upgrade some of your plants, like if one plant's going out of control, one plant dies on you, you just uproot that plant, you put in some new plants, see how it works. Pay attention to some signs to see if they have any nutrient deficiencies, which I'll do another video on. I'll do some videos on that. I've got a lot of videos I can do, and so nutrient deficiencies are a thing that I can cover. But yeah, man, there's a lot of really cool things to look at when we're designing aquarium. Take it back, look at your aquarium, see how it flows with the room, see how it looks at in the room. Uh, if it's a very open space, maybe make a very open aquarium. If it's a very enclosed space, make a very enclosed aquarium with a lot of plants on the side. It's really it's like it's a sandbox. It's so cool. It's great thing about this hobby. There's endless possibilities you can do in that thing. You can feed plants to fish, and I've thought about it I know you can feed algae to fish and you can feed plants to fish. Um, I've seen people make duckweed balls, and they'll take a whole bunch of duckweed, they'll bake it, roll it up into a ball, and they're like throw it in with their goldfish, and their goldfish will just snarf it up. Obviously, if you're going to be keeping plant eaters, you don't want to have plants in there that you really care about, unless if you're willing for them to get eaten. But your goldfish and your carp species are probably going to eat a lot of plants. So you can feed duckweed, you can feed some scraps of some dead plants in there, just a whole bunch of stuff like that. And I would say vice versa, but sadly, the only carnivorous aquarium plant in there. Well, thank you so much. The only carnivorous plant that I know of, or that I keep right now, is Urticaria gibbica, which is another plant that's wild. That plant is cool. But it's often considered a pest. It's like it goes back and forth. If you want a carnivorous species only plant, then go with that, dude. It's so cool. Oh, of course, man. I can't wait. I love talking about aquarium plants. I love designing aquariums. I can totally help you out with that. Let's see. I don't know. How do you guys feel about collecting videos? I haven't really done much of those. I don't know whether or not they're in the genre of this channel, plant collecting wise. I could do one. I could definitely do one. I think I will. Let's do that. I think I'll do a plant collecting video, and I'll show you how to collect plants in the wild and how neat of an adventure that is, and especially identifying on your own. It's pretty cool. And getting them growing in your aquarium, that's also pretty neat. Yeah. What else could we do? What else could we talk about? Let's see. Let's see. There's a lot of times, I think one thing that's cool is, collecting would be awesome. Collecting's so much fun, especially it's almost like hand in hand. You go out and go collecting for fish, you go collecting for fish, and you also get some plants too. They go hand in hand, so cool. You can make an ecosystem planted aquarium just like that so easily. Super cool. So I find that always really fun to do, especially when you're setting up a tank. Dude, for sure. Plant. That's a thing that I wish was more on YouTube. So you bet I'm gonna do it. Yeah, no. It takes a. You have to have like a. After a while, you get an eye for it. You get an eye for where there are. They'll be in the most random spots you'll ever imagine. You'll be in your backyard, and you'll see a low spot that's constantly wet. Maybe your septic system runs out there or something like that, and you'll just look over that and you'll be like, "Is that dwarf hairgrass?" And it'll be dwarf hairgrass, and you'll be like, that is really wild to see that I have dwarf hairgrass growing in my aquarium or in my backyard all along. And so, at least it was for me in South Texas. And so, that's a video I plan on doing. Aquarium plants in your backyard. That'll be really cool. Yeah, no, definitely really cool in that factor. Collecting plants is a blast out there in the wild, because you'll find stuff that not only you'll go after a while, you go, what did any conventions this year? Okay, that's another thing I'm going to talk about right here. And that's actually something that I also want to get into too. Last year I went to Aquashella Dallas, and this year I plan on going to Aquashella Dallas too, if everything lines up perfectly and nothing bad happens. I plan on going to Aquashella again. So if you're at Aquashella, I would definitely be down to meet up and see everybody in Aquashella. I met a lot of YouTubers there. And if I'm going this year, I'm going to sign up as a YouTuber. So I'm going to get that YouTuber lanyard and kind of meet everybody and talk to some aquarium things. I got some cool info, man. I got some really cool info from some big time YouTubers like Corey from Aquarium Co-op. I asked him, and I don't want to spoil his content because he's going to make some videos about it. But he's got a lot of really cool collecting stories and things that are really neat. That talking to him in person, you can't put on YouTube sometimes, but it's really cool to hear about all of those collecting journeys, especially with him. And I'm going to ask him and doing Dean Tweedle some more about those as it's really cool. And I also met a staff worker there that invited me to the Aquashella variant for what is it? The Aquashella variant of aquarium plants. And sadly, I wasn't able to make that, but it was really cool talking to him too because he had some strains of aquarium plants. He had a few Bucephalandra species that him and one other person carried the entirety of the world. They had gone extinct in the wild, and him and this one other person were carrying it. And it was super cool. It was like this marbled Bucephalandra. It was like half black. I had never seen anything like it. It was super cool. And so when you go to Aquashell and those type of things, yeah, a lot of times they're catered towards beginners, which is great. It's great for people to get into the hobby, and that you need that to get into a hobby. But they've also got some splashes in there. If you look deep enough and talk to enough people, that you'll go, yeah, that's some really rare stuff. I've never heard about it before. I've never looked at it that way, and never found my some neat stuff like that. And there'll be some rare fish. Man, there were some really cool fish vendors there, and a lot of YouTubers. There were so many YouTubers. I would say, like, looking back at it now, every time about 1/3 or 1/2 of the people on their phones, they were live streaming. Whether it be Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they were live streaming. And it was really cool seeing all and handing out business cards and stuff. And it was super cool. Merchandise, yes. I don't have that shirt on me right now, but I've seen it in some of my previous videos. Definitely have lots of Aquashella merchandise. In terms of my business merchandise, I don't have that yet, but maybe I'll get some shirts out for Aquashella that I might do. But I have the business card right here, and it's got my socials. So if I see you, I'll hand you one of these. But if you're already here, then you're already here. But no, Aquashella is a blast. Definitely looking forward to go to Dallas this year. Asking a lot of questions. Pro tip: if you want to get some extra cool chats with a lot of famous YouTubers, go to the Friday night dinner at the hotel that they host, or stay the night at that hotel, and you get to talk to some one-on-one YouTubers conversations. I talked with Erlene, with Girl Talks Fish, and yeah, it was really cool. Oh, I gotta look into that. I've got this really cool shirt idea where vines come over the shoulder, and it's the logo Oliver's Aquatic Garden, and I thought it was really cool. So we're definitely gonna look into shirts, man. Maybe toboggans, maybe some beanies. That would be cool. But Dallas was an event that I was like, yeah, that is a place that Dallas Aquashella was cool. You will? Oh, that's sweet. Have you been? If you've been before, then you understand what I'm talking about. But if not, you're in for a fun time, dude. It's so fun. And I left a little earlier on Sunday, just because I wasn't getting any fish than what I was. I mean, I wasn't getting any fish or livestock. I mean, I got some shrimp, but I wasn't getting anything more because I didn't have my tank set up and cycled yet. I just gotten up here to Arkansas, so I didn't stick around for the last minute deals that they have when they're getting rid of a lot of their they're getting rid of a lot of their tanks and fish. Oh, that brings me to the quick. There's a UNS. They had a giant booth there, and they would at the end of the thing they would have all the show tanks, all the show aquariums. Well, they wouldn't fly them back with them. They would give them away for free, like big rimless aquariums. They would just be like, "Hey, do you want this?" And they give the entire setup away. Like, it was like mind blowing. I got some free tissue cultures out there, and it was so fun. This guy right next to me got this big old rimless aquarium. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And so it was really cool seeing that. But no, it's a blast. They have a whole bunch of raffles and stuff. So fun. Ooh, Aquashella legend. So he's been to Aquashella before. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Sweet. NLA. Sweet. Been to Aquashella. Then yeah, it's a blast. The following year. Now, the following year, and I was originally going to do this year if I was going to be staying in Arkansas, because I would have had everything set up. But, in the process of a move, we all know that like a whole bunch of stuff can be scattered everywhere. Is that, and for next year, if they're having Aquashella in Dallas, I plan on hosting and being a vendor there because I will have enough stock to be able to vend it. And I think, yeah. Oh, If you don't get loud at Aquashella, I don't know why you're not there, why you aren't. Getting loud at Aquashella is that's what everybody's yelling about aquariums. It's so cool. So fun. Let's see what else. Uh, no, yeah, but no. Next year I plan on a vending Aquashella at Aquashella with a whole bunch of plants, and I want to bring some rare plants. I want to bring some Hygrophila brown. I want to bring some a pogo octopus, some Persicaria yellow bush. I want to bring some stuff that nobody's seen before. That a lot of people are going to be like, "What's that?" And I'm gonna tell them they're easy plants to grow, but they're just not like your usuals. And so definitely want to do that. And, I'm going to bring some bestsellers too, and I'm going to bring. By then, I should have a first line out, and by then, I should have a soil line out. So, yeah, no, yeah, it's gonna be a blast. Uh, can't wait. Yeah, no, I had even said to them when I first went to Aquashellas when no, they're not. It's not aquaponics. I'll have to show you. It's so fun. It's so how do I explain? It's like a giant it's like a giant square pond. Wait here. I got the whiteboard out again. And so let's see. It was like a pond. It was like square pond, but it was like this right here. It's like there's like a whole bunch of like dirt bowls in there, and the dirt bowls would be filled up with plants right here, and it would like super cool. It's like shallow. You could walk out. I would wait out there, and it'd be up like shin deep, and it'd be really cool. Let's see what else. It was yeah, sweet. Well, it was great having everybody out for a live. I look forward to doing this in the future, and so I think I'm gonna call it a night, man. So I'll see you guys later. See you guys on the next live stream. Have a nice one.